So with International Women's Day in mind, I'm going to go back a little bit. My poems are going to feature the voices of women from ancient Greece in part. And I don't know if they were nasty. I don't know if I would want to be a woman in Athens. It's pretty much a man's world. You could go out to festivals and that was about it. But here we go. So the first one is called Ariadne to Theseus. And if you remember, Ariadne was King Minos's daughter, and Minos built a labyrinth with a very nasty minotaur in it. And so Ariadne helps the Athenian hero Theseus escape, and then they elope, and then he ultimately abandons her. There was a question as to whether she was Dionysus' wife. Okay, here we go. Ariadne to Theseus. My eyes were closed, but I wasn't sleeping when you left me on that rain-drizzled beach. It was just easier to say, I had no idea. But you gazed out too many times at your ship's sails, slow pacing in the wind. Everyone has stopped asking me about you. They're all too lost among my husband's endless racks of bottled wine. Sometimes late at night, when I'm awake in his arms, Dionysus doesn't know I still work the monster's maze in my head. Hear your laughter behind me before I trip on a live wire I've mistaken for a string of thread. I'm actually going to go to Italy now. 79 AD, that probably rings a bell. It is when Mount Vesuvius erupted, and very disastrous time for the people of Pompeii. So this is about a woman that I imagine that was caught. Volcanic ash hit the houses, many people suffocated and or asphyxiated in the gas afterwards. Kind of grim, but here we go. Pompeii. She shouted to her daughter then, her son before, the vapors before her body cut off, a last swerve toward a milky pillar, brush against a sea blue mosaic, glimpse of a dolphin, arcing in a fresco before her eyes shut, cut out this maternal body in an ash bed, receding into a hard mold, a sculpture still pulsing with the startle of separation, with the shock of silence after. This poem is, I think, close to a dramatic monologue. We all know the Odyssey and how Penelope waited and waited and waited for Odysseus to come home. So many poems written about her and him. So I tried to give it a different spin. You know, what was this like for her to go through? Penelope to Odysseus. I know you are not dead. I see the blues and greens of the waters and the islands as your ship passes. I've learned to ignore these weak men and their flimsy elegies. What of a waxy plum or a rare bird feather? Do they really think these treats will get me to howl like a dog? But only spiders, these tiny, dark, intricate bodies at my feet, and never far from sight, high kicking across corners and walls. This is the company I want to keep. I love the way they watch me and how I outspin them. We've learned to share this temperamental light, morning's embrace and night's moonlit arms. Our limbs are in sync. Now arm, now leg, arm, leg. When I return each dawn to tear this web, I can count on their shimmy and shine across these rainbowed crossroads. It's like I'm spying on them. But how to? They spy on my work. I'm even learning how to wait for you, how it can take an entire afternoon to trace a purple filament through my loom. I am inseparable from its frame. I have tied it on my back. It has become a spare set of bones. Only, what does the color of blue say these skeins of the sky sound like? What sadness does green, does the grass carry? If I could only get their pitch right, the way, say, that twist of blue-green seaweed is whistling now as it wraps around the prow of your ship. This next very short poem is written in the voice of Daphne, and you'll recall that Apollo chased Daphne, really wanted to get a hold of her, so to speak, and she didn't want anything to do with it, so she yelled out to one of her river god relatives, and she was turned into a tree. Night wind, after Daphne's story. Still, I shudder, rattle these branches at the very twitch of footsteps in the underbrush. Still fear the round black stones of his eyes moving in the trees. Still count in the dark. Once, when the night wind would not stop, I heard the laughter of a child I could not see. Okay, I'm going to mix things up a little bit and read a poem that was prompted by Andrew Wyatts' Win from the Sea from 1947, which is at heart a blowing lace curtain in the wind, and you look out and you see the sea. And it's to my daughter. Note to my daughter on Andrew Wyatts' Win from the Sea, 1947. Stand inside the house, a bit back from the window, taking it in, zigzag of blue-white water, loop of black-green spruce, the sail of white lace curtain. Look closer, within the gauze, the unraveling story of two birds, wings raised, locked, and waiting. Tell them next gust to keep their eyes on the northeast spiral of that far tree, not to be drawn by those bits of mirror water to the left. It's not the thrill, the breeze a tremble. And wait, love, until you can sense beyond sight their brushes of wingtips combing the needles of the trees. They only fly while you look. And carrying on with the wings, I'm going to read a poem. The first two lines are by a woman poet that I very much loved, Wasawa Shimborska. So the first two lines are hers. Sudden wings. I dance, dance, dance in the stir of sudden wings and the shock of crow calls at 3 a.m. announcing the world has tipped on its shelf. Tomorrow, the sun will not set. Cattle will refuse to stop weaving circles inside their wire fences. Cars will turn into balloons. Prison bars will shatter into grains of salt. Guns will melt into stars to hold and wish upon. Still, we will want to keep a sadness or two. Once in a while, we will turn our eyes upward and ask the sun to hide behind a cloud. And I just have one more poem. And it is an ekphrastic piece. I was looking at the work of John Singer Sargent, and probably a lot of you know this painting, Madame X. It is a very beautiful, elegant woman in a dark dress. She's redhead. Her flesh is very pale against the dark dress. At one point, the strap was down, so it caused a little bit of a stir in Paris in 1884. She was Virginie Gautreau, a young socialite, an expatriate from America, married a French banker, and painters were just really drawn to painting her. One thing she did, the anomaly or the thing that drew me to write about this painting, is that she would dust her whole body with lavender powder. So here we go. That I promise you the explanation was longer than the poem's going to be, but here we go. Madame X. Sargent said, "I can't get the blue right," as he struggled to paint her in the full light of France. Shoulder strap down, wanted to help show the whole blue tinge of her, what obsessively dusting the body with pale lavender powder could do. Wanted us to believe that we can choose to get lost in the colors and tones and the just awakening names we have yet to call each other. Thank you.